Good morning. So what we are going to do today, if you turn to, what page is this? Page 6 then, if in your packet, if you're using the packet. Otherwise, just go ahead and take notes on your notebook. We are going to start looking at finding side lengths and finding angles in triangles by using those trig functions. So just a refresher, remember our trig functions. Whoops. All right, so using our trig functions, hopefully this will work now. We have sine, which is the opposite over our hypotenuse, cosine, which is our adjacent side over our hypotenuse, and tangent, which is opposite side over adjacent side. So tangent doesn't deal with the hypotenuse at all. So looking at these triangles here, what we're going to do is we're going to find the solving for x. So this one is just looking at the side lengths, okay? So what we need to do is we need to focus on what angle are we looking at, and then what sides do we have, okay? So here's our angle, angle 28, right? And then we look at what sides does it tell us for this triangle? Well, we have our opposite side, right? And then always remember I was telling you guys to highlight what your hypotenuse was. So we should have done that first. I'll do that first for the next one. So our hypotenuse. So we also have our hypotenuse length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, look, I have my opposite side and my hypotenuse. So which ones of these am I going to use? Well, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to set it up. Sine of 28 equals my opposite, which is x, over my hypotenuse, which is 19. Okay. So when we're doing this, we're going to need to use the calculator. So right here, the note says make sure your calculator is in degree mode. So what calculator we're using is you are going to go to desmos.com/sign-in. Okay, so we want to make sure we have that pulled up on the side when we're working on these so that we know that we can plug these in. Or if you have a calculator that you can use at home, then that's perfect as well. Your phone is a little tricky with this, so I would not want to use your phone calculator. You could download the app, the Desmos Scientific app on your phone, and we can work on that in class too if you have questions. So when we have something like this with a fraction, right, we could technically put this over 1 and then cross multiply, but sometimes that gets a little confusing. So my hint to you is when we have something underneath here like this, we're going to move that to the front. Okay, so 19 times sine of 28 equals x. Right, so then we're going to literally pull up our calculator. Let me slide my side screens to do this so that we can plug this in. Oops, that didn't work. There we go. Now it worked. So 19 times sine of 28 equals x. So I'm going to type in 19 and then sine of 28. And we can close the parenthesis if I can find it, which I can't. So we're just going to leave it because it should give you the answer and press enter. So my value of x is right over here, 8.9199. So I'm going, and it says round to the nearest tenth. So rounding to the nearest tenth is that first decimal place. Okay, so over here I'm going to write, well, x equals 8.9. Okay. So let's try this again with our second one. Now, this might take a couple tries and a couple times of practicing, but that's okay. So our hypotenuse for number 5, our hypotenuse is across from our 90 degrees. So right here. So actually, our hypotenuse isn't even labeled. So I already know, okay, these sine and cosine have hypotenuse in them. Tangent doesn't. So look. can say, here's my angle, right? Tangent of 41 equals, well, what's it going to equal? Well, here's my opposite side of my angle 41. Here's my adjacent side. So again, it's going to be x over 32. So remember I said what we're going to do is take this bottom number, put it in the front over here. So 32 times tangent 41 equals x. So then we plug this in our calculator. We have 32 times, oh, go away, tangent, whoopsies. Okay, this isn't working. 32 times tangent of 41 equals 27, round to the nearest tenth, so 27.8. So over here, x equals 27.8. Okay, so making sure that we know these or have these written down for sine, cosine, and tangent is very important. All right, let's try a couple more. And now that I moved, those are not up there, so it's very important to have those written down. Okay, so again, making sure we're highlighting our hypotenuse first. So across from the x or the right angle, here's my hypotenuse. Look, so I do have a value for my hypotenuse this time. So 26 is my hypotenuse. I'm looking for this angle here. It's telling me it's 21. I don't have an opposite side, right? I have an adjacent side. So adjacent and hypotenuse. If we go up, which one am I going to use? Sine, cosine, or tangent? So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So I'm going to say cosine of my angle, 21 degrees, equals adjacent, which is x, over 26. Okay. So 26 goes to the front. 26 times cosine of 21 equals x. So what does my x equal? That's when we pull up our calculator. 26 cosine of 21. 24.2, but my next number is 7, so I'm going to round up actually to 24.3. All right. Let's see if you can set up the next one, number 7, on your own. So I look immediately for my highlighter to highlight my hypotenuse, and I see, oh, it's not marked. So I automatically know if I'm not dealing with my hypotenuse, right, I'm going to be using tangent because tangent doesn't use the hypotenuse. So tangent of 55 equals, here's my opposite, here's my adjacent, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. I bring this number to the front. Excuse me. 8 times tangent of 55 equals x. So let's find out what x equals. Oh, goodness. That didn't work like I wanted to, but there we go. So 8 times tangent 55, that gives me 11.4. So x equals 11.4. Okay, we are not going to do problems like number 8 and number 9 because those just are a little bit more tricky to solve once we get to this part. You could set those up if you would like, if you want to take some time to pause the video and set those up, that's totally fine, but we are not going to test you on ones like that. So let's go ahead and move to number 10. and 11. Just again, like I said, the more you practice these, the easier it is once you start remembering what's sine, cosine, and tangent. And if we wanted to write these down right here, we could do that. Again, I'm always allowing you to have those notes with you while you're working on these, okay? So first thing, number 10, highlight our hypotenuse across from the right angle. So this one looks a little bit funny. So our hypotenuse is not there again. So remember, clicking the wrong one. Remember, when there's no hypotenuse, we're using tangent. So tangent of our angle is 72 equals opposite over adjacent. So this is another one. So this one is also, this one I didn't look at it. So this one we are not going to solve when x is on the bottom because then it gets kind of tricky. I'll show you. If we move this over here, right, like we were moving the numbers, it becomes x times tangent. 72 equals 25. Then we have to divide again to get x by itself. Okay, so that gets kind of tricky sometimes. So then x equals 25 divided by tangent 72. Sometimes I've used the fact that, okay, we just switch the x and the tangent. So like that's what we did, right? We just switched them. So sometimes you can remember them like that. And then you would plug that into your calculator. So that works. So let's look at number 11, my hypotenuse. Let's see if this one shows up like that. Ooh, that was the big one. So my hypotenuse, we do have a hypotenuse, is 11. So we're looking at 64. We don't have an opposite side. We have an adjacent side. So adjacent over hypotenuse is cosine. So cosine 64 equals x over 11. Again, we're just moving that 11 to the front and then plugging it in our calculator. 11 times cosine 64 equals x. So I'm just going to try to remember this. Oops. 11 times cosine of 64 is 4.8. Okay, so x equals 4.8. All right, that's all we're going to talk about today. We will talk about word problems later on in the unit, but right now, finding those missing side lengths, just making sure that we really remember these sine, cosine, and tangent and how we would set them up, marking that hypotenuse and that opposite of the hypotenuse, or the adjacent and the opposite side, knowing which trig ratio we're going to use, and then using that calculator to find. All right, have a good day. Come back for video 2, and then we'll work on our practice. Bye, guys.